webquest explains living and non-living things. This webquest teaches students about what qualities make something living and non-living by providing different videos, activities, and examples. Students learn and get a better understanding of what it means to be a living thing. So, what makes up a living thing? Living things have three characteristics. They have to grow, they have to breathe, and they need food and water in order to survive. I put in a picture of puppies because that's a key example of a living thing. Here we have a picture of a living thing and a non-living thing. Underneath it says living things eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce, which we already know from up here. Non-living things do not eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce. The picture on the left shows what qualities make something living and what qualities make something non-living. Living things eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce, while non-living things do not eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce. When you're deciding if something is living or non-living, ask yourself if it does those characteristics. Okay, below is a video of the Cookie Monster explaining the differences between living and non-living things. Please watch the video to get a better understanding of how to tell the difference. So, students can click on this video and get an interactive learning experience about how living and non-living things work. So, you can click this to learn.
Hi, me Cookie Monster. And this big fella here is Rock. Yeah, hi Rock. We're here to ask intriguing scientific question. Which one of us is alive? Me or Rock? Yeah.
So it continues to go about explaining how living and non-living things work and the differences and how Cookie Monster is living and while his rock is non-living. After the students watch that, they're going to click all about hermit crabs. This page explains hermit crabs, and the reason why this is important is because the class is going to adopt a few hermit crabs during this lesson, and they're actually going to get to go play with them. But in order to play with them, they need to learn that they are living things. So, I made up a list of the facts about hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are living things. Hermit crabs are crustaceans, like crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. Hermit crabs grow. When they get big, their shells break and they must find a new one. Hermit crabs need food and water, so they eat plants and meat, and they need calcium to keep their skeletons strong. Hermit crab habitats. Hermit crabs need to live in moist environments, change their water frequently. Lighting is important in their cages. They need this for healthy daylight and for maintaining temperature, and they need plenty of room to move around and play. Above is an example of where a hermit crab would stay, and this type of shelter will be provided in the classroom this year. And then underneath is a picture of shells, and so when a hermit crab's small, it will have one of the smaller shells, but as it grows and expands, it needs to find a bigger shell. So, after learning about hermit crabs, the students are going to create their own project, and it's their very own creation of a hermit crab. So every student is going to receive a paper plate to make a shell for their hermit crab. You can design the shell by painting with watercolors or using markers. You're also going to get a piece of paper to trace your hand for the head of the hermit crab. You'll get pipe cleaners and two googly eyes in order to make the eyes. You may use whatever colors you want and personalize it however you would like. Just make sure to put a lot of effort into your creations. Once you're done creating your personal hermit crab, please list all the characteristics of a hermit crab on the back of its shell. Make sure to include what they eat and drink and explain how they breathe and grow. If you have any questions or need help attaching any of the parts, please ask your teacher's assistance. Have fun. So this is an example of what they could make. And so they're going to get a paper plate, they're going to get a piece of paper, they're going to get pipe cleaners and googly eyes, and the rest is up to them. So they can trace their hand as the face, and then they can design the shell however they would like. The one thing that the teacher really wants to express is that you have to write on the back the characteristics of the hermit crab, which is explained right here. After the students do this, they're going to click on the Smartboard activity. So, the Smartboard activity is actually extremely fun and interactive for every single student. Above is a video showing how to do the Smartboard activity. The Smartboard activity is an extremely useful tool, and it helps students get a better understanding of what is living and what is non-living. Each student in the class will come up to the Smartboard and drag one of the objects into the living or non-living circle. The teacher will be able to see what students understand, the differences, and what students need more explaining. It's also a fun way to get every student involved and interacting. The video above shows an example of how the activity should work. The video provides an example of a student not understanding which object goes into which space. The teacher is able to explain to the student why it isn't what she thought it was and to help her drag it into the correct circle. Before we watch the video, this is an image of the Smartboard activity. So there's two circles, the living and the non-living circle, and the instructions say that each student will come up to the board and have an opportunity to drag one of the images into the correct column. This way, every student gets involved and the teacher can understand what students need more help with deciding what is living and what is non-living. Some of the images, like the flower and the palm tree, might throw the students off because they might not realize that a flower does grow and a flower does breathe and it does need food and water in order to survive. So by explaining that, the students get a better understanding of all objects in the page and they'll understand which ones go in which category. So here is the video. Okay, class, since we just went over the characteristics that make up a living and a non-living thing, I want each of you to come up to the board and drag one of the images into the correct category. Okay, Jessica, do you want to try? Okay. Oh, it's okay, Jessica. Okay, so why do you think a house is a living thing?
Well, a house has people in it.
That's true, and people are living things. But does a house grow?
No.
Does a house eat?
No.
Does a house drink?
No.
Does a house breathe?
No.
Okay, so since it doesn't do any of those things, is it living or non-living?
A house must be non-living.
Good job. Okay, let's do one more. Good. Okay, so why is a dog a living thing?
Because a dog grows, a dog breathes, a dog eats, and it drinks water.
Perfect. Good job. Okay. Okay, so after they watch this video, they're going to go to the assessment page. Okay, so first they're going to click on the Google form, which leads them to a quiz where they can fill it out, and it basically asks them, what is a living thing? What is a non-living thing? What characteristics make up a living thing? And then we provide images of different animals, and they have to decide if it's living or non-living. There's a dog. There's a picture of a pencil, and they have to decide if they're living or non-living. And then they'll turn it in, and then the teacher can go online and see if it's right or wrong. And then they'll know which students need more help and which students are good and understand what is going on. Okay, here is an I rubric, and in order to assess how the students do on the Design Your Own Hermit Crab project, I've created an I rubric that grades them based off of 4 different things. Okay, so earlier in the Hermit Crab section of the web quest, I explained how each student is going to complete a hermit crab and then write the characteristics of what it eats and what it drinks and how it's living and non-living on the back of its shell. So here is an I rubric that I created that explains what the students need to do in order to get a perfect score or do really well. So there's 4 different qualities that they need to fulfill. So there's creativity, spelling, list all the characteristics, and clear/easy to understand. So a poor student for spelling, for an example, is that the student spells most or all of the words wrong when describing the characteristics of a hermit crab. The reader can't understand what they are trying to say. So if the student doesn't spell any of the words correctly, or it's very difficult for the teacher to understand what they're trying to say, they would meet the poor standards. But if the student spells most words correctly when describing the characteristics of a hermit crab, the reader can clearly understand what they are saying, then that means that they get a 3 and they meet the good standard. So the teacher will base her grading off of this I rubric. And in order for a student to get all 3 points, they need to earn a 3 in each category. So after they do the assessment page, here's the citations page, which is the last page of the web quest. And this is just showing where I got all my resources from, just in case teachers want to check it out before they let their child before they let their student try this web quest. And it just shows what I've been using and what resources the students have. And that is basically it. That is my web quest on living and non-living things. If you have any questions, let me know.